Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, joins me on the show. Mahima Singh is the spokesperson of the Congress Party. Swapnil Kothari is the spokesperson, is Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court. Sajjan Kumar is a political analyst. Sanjay Hegde, the big question is there have been guidelines in the past that has been issued as well. But does it really stop politicians and others from making hate speeches? And are these guidelines really followed?
I don't think the guidelines are followed, because how do you enforce those guidelines? Those guidelines can be enforced only by contempt action. Now, contempt again requires a long hearing. If politicians decide that, look, I'm going to say it, consequences be damned, I get my votes, and we will see these things as and when we are called upon to answer in the Supreme Court, these things will not work. And that is exactly the concern that the Supreme Court has expressed. They have said that while we can give guidelines, enforcement is a different ballgame altogether. And how do you prevent people from thinking?
Thought.
And that is why they've emphasized the positive part. Please consider it your constitutional duty to promote fraternity. And it is not only incumbent upon the leaders, it is incumbent upon the population. Let us promote fraternity by actively saying that those who violate it will not get our votes. If there is a political cost, automatically things start receding.
You made an important point, and I think what was said by Justice Nagarathna becomes important here, Swapnil Kothari, that before the speech comes the thought, and how can we control the thought? And she goes on to say that erase thoughts which goes against the constitutional ethos. It was necessary. But you know, it also requires much more than changing the mindset. My point here is that can this really be a deterrent? I'm asking this question because let's not forget that in the run-up to 5 state elections, there'll be more hate speeches. And all those speeches at that time will be challenged in the Election Commission. And we have seen what happens, what is the fate of these petitions before the Election Commission?
Marya, these guidelines from the Supreme Court will only be directory. They will not be mandatory. This is a food for thought. It's wisdom dished out by the Supreme Court. It's given its pearls of wisdom for absolutely free. Now, how the political people who participate in elections, how they view it, whether they choose to ruminate over it, whether they still want to toss it aside and still want to pursue their personal goals or the goals of the party is entirely up to their concerns. My reading of this will be very simple, Marya. And run up to the elections, as you rightly pointed out, you'll see much more. I mean, 223, your figures stated 668 hate speech instances. Now doubled that in 2025, which is hardly in a span of 2 years. So you can imagine what is happening. There is a definite divide. There is no question about it. There is a definite agenda to ensure that there is some sort of fractiousness between the two communities. And to the extent that this, I'm not saying that this is the agenda of any ruling party. All I'm trying to say is that this is a certain political agenda of certain people who believe that they are not going to be able to get votes on merit. So they try to use any single card that's available to them. So this vociferous tendencies which are exercised by the candidates is very likely to come within the purview of the Election Commission rules. And hopefully, if you have some very strong election commissioner at that time, he should proscribe it. And not only that, but I think there should be some punitive measures against this as well. Apart from your Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita sections of 298 and 199, 196 and 299, you're not going to be able to do anything much. FIRs will be dealt with. Somebody will say, oh, I did not have the intention, I apologize. Actually, the offense sticks the moment you make these kind of speeches. Say, for example, what Himanta Biswa Sarma did. I mean, he can't say that I did not know what I was doing in the video. But the point is that is something, as a chief minister, you should have exercised a little bit more caution, more restraint, Marya. And that is where the internal concerns of the person in question, not only him, but anybody else, everybody else. And that too, even of the minority community. If there is a political leader of that minority community, he should exercise restraint as well. It applies to both sections.
Okay. Let me bring in Mahima as well. Mahima, this is not against an individual, this is about questioning netas in general. Today, it may be Himanta Biswa Sarma, but there are multiple instances of leaders of other political parties indulging in similar hate speeches and divisive comments.
Jai Hind. Maria, the video, the very embarrassing and the very worrisome video that you're playing on your channel has been taken down from the BJP handles. Besides the fact that the BJP spokespersons are absent from shows on these issues and on your show as well today, speaks louder, for all of us than anything else. And I think the Supreme Court should have taken the cognizance. You are right that the issue is much larger than one individual. But the individual that we are talking about here has gone on election after election, first Jharkhand, then Chhattisgarh, now his own home state. He's going on making these hate slurs. And the Honorable High Court, to whom a letter was written by the petitioners before they approached the Supreme Court, was completely silent, refused to take suo motu cognizance, which it should have been taken. In fact, the slurs that have been made by Himanta Biswa Sarma, saying that making Mia people suffer is my job, a sitting chief minister saying that, and saying that Muslims won't be allowed to vote in the state of Assam, which is very much a part of the Indian Republic, which falls under the purview of the Indian Constitution. How can a sitting chief minister say that? Should that not worry the Supreme Court? That is what I would say what would be the worry of every well-meaning Indian citizen today who believes in the Constitution of India. And Honorable Supreme Court might have been far too optimistic when it said that you take it back to the jurisdiction of the Honorable High Court of Guwahati, because the trend that we have been seeing is that the courts are as Mr. Hegde said earlier, I would resonate that, one is that the procedure is so prolonged. Besides, we have seen that the judiciary is inclined towards the establishment more and more with every passing year for the last 11 years. So what do the people whose fundamental rights are being stepped upon by the very leaders who should have been protecting them in the first place, what should those citizens do, Maria?
Valid point here. Sajjan Kumar. Sajjan Kumar, will it really stop politicians from making hate speeches?
No, certainly not. Why should it stop when politics of discontent is way more rewarding than the politics of what you call fraternity? Because politics of fraternity doesn't give you the space to demonize your political rival and political party rivals. So political of discontent has been rewarding, and therefore there is no reason that in practice any political party from right to left to center is going to stop that. Now, what is the issue here? Because we are, as a citizen, we are accustomed to concentric and multiple identities. Religious identity is one of the identity which is used for othering. But there are also many other identities that is used to stigmatize you, to demonize you, to dehumanize you. It may be based on regions, as happens, the comments coming from many of the southern politicians against the Hindi heartland. Similarly, it can be based on language, the kind of Raj Thackeray politics you see. So in that context, I think if at all one has to take into account the hate speeches, then it should not be just a transactional thing targeting one party. Why should it just be anti-BJP paragon of secular petitioners?
Yes, the onus is on all political parties. I agree with you on that. And that's what even the Supreme Court has said.
Why just religious one? Why the same sort of enthusiasm is not seen when on the basis of region hate speeches are given? On the basis of language hate speeches are given, right? So therefore it seems it's like a manufactured, outrage. Many of the petitioner indulge in same sort of, demonizing the other. Going to US, testifying to the US Congress, on the poor record of India's human rights, demonizing one community, one caste. So that way, I think the very scenario is paradoxical because many of the petitioners are always looking for sectarian fraternity. Fraternity should be seen if it suits your political campaign. So I think while in theory, it should happen in an ideal way that hate speech, acrimonious exchange of words should stop, but it is not going to stop because one, religious identity is just one of the identity of othering. There are lots many other identities that is used by progressive politics. And two, the ones who reach out to the court themselves in so many other aspects are indulged in othering multiple modes of our identity. So it's not going anywhere at all.
Okay, okay. I have 30 seconds for the two lawyers on the panel, Sanjay Hegde and Swapnil Kothari. Sanjay Hegde, please go first.
Well, let me define hate speech. Hate speech is when you punch down. Would the Chief Minister of Assam have spoken this disparagingly about the ruling castes in his state, about the Ahoms, for instance? No, it would be political suicide. It is whenever you see a weaker target, if you talk down to it, you incite violence to it, that is hate speech. And that should not be amplified and should not be rewarded. Let us cut off the reward and the risk will diminish.
But there is that point that has been made by the Supreme Court that the media should not amplify hate speech. Shouldn't it also be seen perhaps that the media is informing that there has been a hate speech that has been made, Swapnil Kothari?
Absolutely bang on point, Marya. Media never amplifies hate speech. It doesn't peddle that. Media is only showing that to the entire audience, to its entire viewership, that this is what it is. Now, to the best part possible, if you are spewing bile during your debates, that is something which I do not like. But at the same time, if you're informing the people and you're saying that this is something there and you're catching and you're pointing it out, bringing the relevant people to talk about it and criticizing it and proscribing it, then the media has done its job. That is exactly what I'm trying to say. So I think the Supreme Court was trying to tell generically, saying that, look, if there is something that is happening here, then at the same time, the media should be a little cautious. So, just to single out a political party. See, I would not know whether Himanta Sarma did what he did unless and until media would show this. And by media, I think it just doesn't mean television media. It even points out to newspaper media. So, unless you inform and how you write a particular thing, that is most important. Or how you show it. And if you're going to show it in a way that is more informative, rather than spewing bile in any manner, which I think most responsible media doesn't do it. So I think the Supreme Court has
At least that's what media is expected to do.
Exactly.
Let's put it out that way. All right, Sanjay Hegde, Swapnil Kothari, Sajjan Kumar and Mahima, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.